Hi everyone, it's Justine here from House of Mahalo. Thank you so much for joining me. So today I'm going to be sharing with you how to make these fun little hidden writing spots using envelopes. Now I first saw these from Cara Renee from Be Reborn Art and Healing, and I have made these before but I've not done a video on it, so I thought I would go ahead and show you how to make them today. And I've decided to use my floral invoices and letters kit because I thought that would give them kind of like a fun, vintagey, pretty vibe. And then some of them I have not bothered decorating, some of them I have. So I have got some, simple ones like this. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and share with you how to make them. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is just go around and close up our envelopes. Now be careful that when you're gluing these, you're only gluing the flaps of the envelopes closed. I'm not going all the way in here, I'm just going around the flap. And I'm doing a little bit of a mess make. Don't worry, I won't be doing all of these on video, but it's a good one if you just want to get, build up a stash, get going with some stuff. And yeah, it's a nice easy one today. So I'm going to go around and just make sure all of these flaps are closed. As I said, don't forget, I'm just sticking to the edge of that flap because we want to keep the inside of the envelope completely open. Something else I should probably mention here is that I've purposefully chosen envelopes that are a bit weak. They're not something that I would use for flip outs or to build folios or anything like that. They're really just quite old, like the kind of envelopes that you get when you buy cheap like Christmas cards, they're nothing special at all, because when we put the paper and glue on them that we're going to be adding, that will make them stronger. So that will be fine for this, but I'm not going to be using them for flip outs, the envelopes, the flaps of the envelopes, they're not strong enough, that kind of a thing. So it's a good one if you've got a lot of stuff like this from card making kits or what have you, where the envelopes are a bit flimsy. This is a really good project for those. Alright, so once you've got your envelopes all closed up, we can now start decorating them with our papers. Now I'm going to be really lazy. As I said, I really want this to be an easy one. And I'm going to use these antique floral invoices and letters from my Etsy shop. And what I'm thinking is, these will fit in with all of my projects. I've purposefully chosen like all kinds of botanicals and florals and things because I wanted them to be relatively neutral so that I can use them for anything. But yeah. I would like to make sure that they still fit in with my projects and things. So all we're going to do is just cover the front of the envelope. Now you can cover the back as well, it depends where you're going to use these. If you're going to tuck them into pockets so that there's something that you can take out and move around, then you'll want to cover both sides. If you're going to stick these down as pockets or tuck spots, then you only need to cover the front. So for now, what I'm going to do, until I know where I'm using them, I'm just going to cover the fronts. And I'm purposefully covering the side that has the opening, so that that's all hidden and covered. And then that means the back of it is really, really smooth. So if I did want to use it as an actual pocket or tuck spot, if I then put something behind this, it's not going to get caught on, little bits like that. Okay? Brilliant. So I'm going to use these, as I said, I'm going to keep it really simple, and I'm just going to go ahead and just glue the papers on the front. As I said, I am doing a mass make, so I won't do all of them with you, and I'm just doing it the lazy way, where I'm just putting the glue and then just popping the paper down. And then all I do is I just double check that I've got it in the right place. Using my light, I just hold it up and go from there. And what I would say as well, everyone makes these differently. I personally like to use images and papers and things where I'm not going to cut into like a bird or a head or something, so I tend to stay away from anything that's got animals or people on it as papers. That's just a personal preference. So I want to make sure I get that daisy in. So I'm just going to plonk it down and just have a look that I'm happy and that we're relatively straight on here. And I'm just going to carry on in that same fashion. So I'll do a couple more because I appreciate I'm a little bit rusty on video at the moment. So I'm going to do a taller one for that one because that's really nice with the pinks on there. Yeah, I'm a bit rusty at the moment, so I'll do a few more. So I want to make really clear, you know, what I'm doing. And then we'll do the fun parts next. I want to get that pink flower in the corner, like so. I'm going to have lots of pretty scraps left over from these, aren't I? Yes, yes I am. And then what have we got on that side? I'll do a smaller envelope for that, I think. I'm just trying to make the best use of the papers. But the great thing about these is obviously I can print them out as many times as I want to. And yeah, it just makes a nice change from, well, I don't know what else I would have done with these, put them in pockets I suppose. You know, the invoices and things. But yeah, I thought this might be a fun way to use them. So don't forget, I'm making sure that I'm putting the flap part of the envelope, so the opening, face down on the paper so that the back of it is nice and flat, smooth for slipping things in and out of. So hopefully you get the idea of what I'm doing. So I'm going to carry on with these and then we will come back and turn them into fun little hidden writing spots. Alright, so once you've finished gluing, it's then just a case of cutting out your envelopes. Now, you've heard me say this before, but I always use blunt scissors because you don't want to risk cutting into your envelopes. So all we're going to do is just cut around the envelope all the way around. And as you can see, I've done all of the others. So I'm going to get these ones done and then we'll be able to turn them into little hidden writing spots. So whilst I just had you on pause, I just went around and made sure that all the papers were definitely glued down. So now we're ready to cut the tops of the envelopes off. You also want to get some card. So I've just got these, essentially these are from card making kits, which yeah, I don't make cards, so I've just got a whole bunch of those. So I'm just going to use that for the card for these to make it really easy for me. So as to how much you chop off, it's up to you. You might want to go by, you know, what it looks like on the front. But what I will say is that you want to make sure that on this part that comes off, you've got enough to grip. So I would say you want it at least an inch wide, so you've got something to grip and so it's nice and sturdy. But essentially what you're going to get is you're going to have the writing spot in here, and then when you slide that on and off, it's going to come together like this. So you do see the line across it, it's not like you don't see that line. So you could cover that with some crochet or lace or something, but that's why I say you don't want to cut through, you know, like a bird's head or something like that. So I just stick with botanicals because it's nice and easy. You don't have to worry about, you know, if we do cut through something, it's really not anything to worry about. So yeah, you can see there, that's probably about an inch. So you just want to cut a top off basically. You don't have to do the top, you could do the side. So for example, this one where I've got this little bit of text here, I think it might be nice to do a side one. So now the writing spot will come out here instead. and then of course I can decorate up the top there. So yeah, change it up based on what you've done. So with these larger envelopes, I did them landscape. So in this case, I may want to take off an edge somewhere. So again, I'm just looking as part of the design, and I'm actually going to take it off from the left-hand side, because that way I've got this little bit of a detail as the pull-out bit. So yeah, you just got to work with how you want it to be, work with your design. So this one I'll go at the top because I've got that nice bit of staining, which yeah, could be fun there. So I'm going to go through and get all of these done, and then we'll put some writing spots in them. Okay, so once all of those are cut down, we want to do the writing spots inside. So I don't measure things, as many of you will know. So the way that I do it is I'm just going to grab some card. Sorry, I just wanted to separate those two pieces. So the way that I do it is basically just do it by eye. So what we want is we want it to fit within the whole of the envelope, so the two pieces combined together. So I need to take off about that much, and we can always chop it down later, so it's not too much of a worry at this point. And then in terms of width, I just want a little bit more. So you could absolutely measure if it's easier for you. So what we want to get is so yeah, I had glued the envelope a little bit closed there. So what we want is that there's enough room for the card to slide in and out of the bottom of the envelope without getting stuck or anything. So I'm going to take off just a little bit more, and then I think we will be golden. Yeah, so I'm going to go with that. I would measure, but honestly, even when I measure things, it just does not work out quite right. So I'm just going to ink quickly this top piece, because I won't be able to do that once it's glued together. Oops. Okay, so we're going to grab our piece of card, and you notice how with these I've done it so that you can write front and back. I think that's quite a nice little thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit of layer of glue on the top there. Make sure my envelope is open, lovely. And then we're just going to slip this inside. And I do it as far as it will go, because then that way I know that it's going to be as secure as possible. And then we just want to come in and just close up that part of the envelope around that writing spot, and then we want to do the exact same on the back of it as well. And then what we can do is just pop that inside, and I'm just checking if I need to cut any more off, but no, looks perfect. So essentially what you want to make sure is that when you slide the two pieces together, you're not seeing part of your writing spot, like it's not sort of stuck out like that. So it's as easy as that. And then of course from there, you're welcome to decorate these however you like, really. So I'll do another one with you so that you can get the gist of what I'm doing. But I'm sure you probably get what I'm doing already. So width-wise, I think that's pretty good. Okay, that should be fine. And of course, I'm keeping any big bits like that because I'll be able to use them in something, I'm sure. But yeah, I really do like these. I think they're a good one. And I'm doing them as a mass make, which I do think is helpful. because there are a few steps involved. So, you know, to get it clear in your head, sometimes it's good to do these mess makes. You know, I would say it's a little bit of a faff if you're just going to do, you know, one for a journal. So I would encourage you to consider, you know, making up a few. Maybe not as many as what I've done. I think I've gone a little bit carried away. But certainly, you know, if you made a small handful, like 3 or 4, then you can just stow them away and then have these fun little writing spots for your next projects. Okay, so I think I'll probably need to take some off the bottom, but let's see. Oh no, perfect. There we are, that's another one. So I'm going to go through and get these done, and then I don't know if I'm going to decorate all of them today. I really just want these for my stash, but I will probably decorate up a couple that I want to use sort of sooner rather than later, and then you can sort of get the gist of how I'm going about doing that as well. Alright then, so I've gone ahead and decorated some of these. I kept them relatively simple, so I've just decorated these 5. And I found some ruffles that I had sewn quite a while ago from my fabric scraps, and they just worked out quite perfectly. So I basically glued a ruffle onto the bit that slides out, and that way it kind of hides the join, I suppose, of the envelope. So I've got that, and then I've just added a few bits of decoration just to make them a bit more exciting, and then added my labels. So yeah, that's what I've gone ahead and done. I've also done a little bit of stenciling with my T-ring stencil, just very lightly. But yeah, I'm really happy with how these have turned out. That one's just got a little bit of a diamante on there. A button on that one, a little bit of lace and a word. And then this one I added the butterfly to, and this nice bit of bling on them. So they've turned out very sort of like pretty vintage, really, is how those have come about. So those are those ones. And then I do have all of these which I have finished, but I've not decorated them. Mainly because I didn't want to cover up, you know, I didn't want to cover up these ones. Those ones were a little bit more plain, so I didn't mind adding like lace and ruffles and things. These ones, I didn't feel like they needed that. And I'll be honest, it might just be that they stay like this. I haven't fully decided. So instead with these ones, I'm going to go ahead and just pop these into stash. And that is going to be those. So I hope that you enjoyed the tutorial. As I said, I was originally inspired by Cara Renee from Be Reborn Art and Healing to make these. That's where I first saw the idea, at least anyway. But I hope that you will consider giving them a go. Obviously I have used my kit, but you can go ahead and use any paper you like. If you've got envelopes and you've got paper, you can definitely make these. So I hope that you enjoy giving them a go if you're going to do that. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks so much then. I'll see you later. Bye bye for now.